and a lot of people who knew me when I was younger, I had like a children's company when I was younger, and then I had an adult company, and so a lot of people who knew me, they actually thought that I was older than what I was. Like I was actually only like 15 or 16 years old, and a lot of people thought that I was like in my 20s or 18 or 19 or something. So I tell you that because my maturation started to occur when I went to Philadelphia. Let's see. I made the stupid mistakes of like going to college, and when all of you go to college, you're going to experience this thing where they're passing out credit cards, and you get a free T-shirt if you sign up for a credit card. And I was like, I want a free T-shirt, and I signed up for a credit card, and baby, that was a mistake. That was like 10 years. That ruined 10 years of my life. Like that T-shirt ruined 10 years of my life. Okay, so I say all of that to say, like, I really was learning about the world in Philadelphia. And then from Philadelphia, I moved to LA, and I started to choreograph for a lot of television shows and artists. I started to work with Beyonce a lot. I think I worked with her for about 12 to 13 years. And then from LA, I went back to New York to do Broadway, and I did Fela on Broadway, which I'm not sure if you have heard of. And I choreographed some Broadway shows, and let's see, and I did So You Think You Could Dance and blah 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 blah. And then I got to a place where number one, again, people thought that I was older than what I was. So I kind of built that same reputation for myself in LA of being a big-headed person, like like a big-headed, like irritating person in Los Angeles. But people didn't realize that I was only like 22, 23 years old, which I know that sounds old to all of you, but you a baby. You a baby. So after Broadway, I decided to put everything down, and things were kind of sweet, and I was working, and I decided to go back to school. So now I'm really kind of fast forwarding a lot. I went back to school, and I went to Columbia for my master's in fine arts in theater directing. And now here's the gotcha. I became the first African American accepted into Juilliard's opera directing program. Uh, and to this day, so I went to two institutions at the same time, basically. And so to this day, Juilliard, is constantly like, Jeffrey, will you please come and be a faculty member at Juilliard? Will you please, will you please, will you please, will you please, will you please? And so, there's part of me that wanna look back at Miss Byram and say, you know, be careful, be careful about judging people too quickly. What does James Baldwin say? Don't judge me too quickly, or something like that. Don't be too quick to read me. So now I'm at a place where Harvard University, they want me to be on their faculty. Juilliard wants me to be on their faculty. Yale wants me to be on their faculty. Columbia wants me to be on their faculty. So it's a lot of different institutions that, I was just a little kid. My grades were terrible. I was just telling this story last night. Out of an 8.0 GPA, I think my GPA was 3.0. And so I assumed that I was stupid. I just assumed that I was stupid. Like I was like, it's all good. I'm stupid, but I'm gonna act like I'm, blah 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 blah. And so my journey through Colombia has kind of helped me to understand that in fact I'm not stupid. In fact, I have a pretty interesting way of looking at the world that will benefit the world in ways that the world is not even ready for. And so that's been quite an adventure. Don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to be you. And in you not being afraid to be you, know that you're going to be different and unorthodox and unconventional. You're going to look at the world in a different way. Can you imagine what the world would be like if we actually spent more time leaning into unconventional ways of looking at the world? There's a quote, and I forget. Y'all, I read a lot now. I'm such a I'm such a like crazy nerd.
And then you are such an intellectual, Jeffrey.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Terrence. I appreciate it. There's a quote, and I forgot who says it, and I want you guys to respond to it. The quote is, "Disrupt technology daily." Can somebody respond to that? Now, before you respond, it's a lot deeper than what you think it is. So you might want to go and look up those 3 words before you think you know what you know.
Can you repeat it real quick?
Disrupt technology daily.
I feel like it means, okay, so I looked up technology and it basically said, for me, that meant like disrupt what the usual is daily. Don't go with the usual. Think outside of the box. Like don't go with sorry, my phone keeps falling. I'm so sorry. But do not go with what is already going on. Go outside of the box. Live in your own circle. Walk on the outside circle instead of the one everyone's always walking on.
Yes. Why is that important right now in the midst of Black Lives Matter, in the midst of trying to figure out how to be anti-racist, in the midst of, COVID, why is that important right now?
That is very important because we as an entire society have been put in a place where everything is so routine, and we were so used to living this life and going on as, a Black killing, and then we mourn in 2 weeks and then keep going. We were so used to this routine living and this way of this repeat button that we were put on. It's essential that we go outside of that and continue to keep fighting, continue to raise our voices to the injustices that are happening.
Okay, I love that. Thank you, Kamaya. Does anybody else wanna throw some thoughts in there? Disrupt technology daily. What you got to say, Amani?
I'll go ahead and agree with Kamaya. What I got with technology was basically different forms of like scientific knowledge, and I really more looked up disrupt too, because that word definitely gets thrown around a lot in breaking up something by causing commotion and things. And so it definitely, I don't know, it's one you gotta really think about. It's one I'm still thinking about what it means.
Okay, I'm not gonna let up the pressure on you though. Okay, so I want you to keep thinking about it. All right, Tyler, what do you think?
For me, I feel like this is a very important thing to think about during what's going on right now, because disrupt, it means what Amani said, trying to, how I think about it, trying to break the silence. So instead of just sitting around and just watching Black culture or just Black people die or get mistreated and abused, try to figure out a way to break that silence, break your silence, instead of just watching it repeat, and just be a normal thing. Because that's what it's becoming if we don't start breaking the silence and being disruptive and stand up for what we want.
Can everybody look up the etymology of the word technology? So the word technology is actually not this thing of like computers and phones. Actually, technology is a system of doing something. And because a computer has a very dependable system of doing something, then we have kind of associated computer as a form of technology, right? So this idea of disrupt technology daily, meaning exactly what's her name? Kamaya, exactly what Kamaya said, right? So if you're walking home from rehearsal or you're walking home from work or something, walk through another neighborhood to kind of to shake things up a bit. And, you know, that's a small way of disrupting technology daily. It makes you grow and it makes you learn in several ways. So essentially, you know, that's what I would say to my ballet teacher is, you know, don't be too quick. Don't be too quick to know who I am. Like, you know, I might be something that you have never seen before, you know, and I might have thoughts and ideas that you have never seen before. And if you understood that, then you might be able to nourish me in a way that I need to be nourished. Does that make sense? So what I would want to impart with you all today is, you know, the very queer, odd, strange ways that you have of thinking about the world, that are looked at as, you know, unconventional or unorthodox, or, you know, so on and so forth. Those are so powerful, and you have to stick with those. So anyway, so where was I? I finished at Juilliard and I finished at Columbia. And so now I spend a lot of time directing different productions. I go to Tokyo a lot to direct. I just came back from West Africa. Let's see. I direct a lot in Harlem. I'm the resident artist at a theater company in Philadelphia called the Philadelphia Theater Company. I think that they're announcing that tonight, actually. And yeah, so it's a lot going on with me and my world. And I think it's a lot going on is because people are excited by my weirdness and the weird way that I think about things. So your weirdness is actually your gift. Your weirdness is actually your gift. You know what I mean? So I'll stop right there. Can I get some responses from that, and then we'll continue?
Yeah, questions.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm. And let me just say real quick, y'all. I do not suffer shyness very nicely or very kindly. So no shyness, okay? I want you to think hard and I want you to think rigorously. You understand? I don't suffer that whole I'm just gonna be shy and be a little church mouse in the corner. Okay. So this, you know, we should be popping. You know, I'm giving you my time. I want you to give me your time. Yes, Tyler, go for it. Tyler.
Okay, so my question was, what was your biggest opportunity to help you grow from where you started?
What was my biggest opportunity? Ooh. That's a hard one, because I think that it depends on what a person's idea of success is. You know, I have friends who feel like, oh my God, you work with Beyonce. Oh my God, you're an Emmy nominated choreographer. Oh my God, you won an MTV Music Award. You know, like, certain people lean on those things as like, you've made it. But in fact, I still feel like I'm running as hard as I possibly can, because my idea of success is something a little bit different. My idea of success is being inside of this space with all of you right now and talking to you. My idea of success, has little to do with the accolades and the laurels that are bestowed me by a group of people who don't know me. My idea of success is somehow reaching back to my own community of people, and showing in clear terms that this road is open, and I probably wasn't the one that opened it, but I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna say to you now, this road is open. I don't know if y'all understand how open this road is. So I don't know if that answers your question, Tyler, just because I think weirdly, I could easily say like, yeah, I met blah, blah, blah. And I choreographed for Broadway, or, I could easily say a lot of those things. I could easily say, so also what's going to be announced, and I asked for this cone of silence, is I'll be directing my first Broadway show through Harvard University, and then it'll go to Broadway as soon as we open back up. So I could easily say that, but actually, I'm enjoying my time with y'all. Like, the time that I'm spending right now with y'all is just as important as
I'd like
the time
to
that I was spending. Yeah.
From me knowing you the way that I do, and her question was early on, your biggest opportunity, I would say your family. You come from a family that has shown you, but allowed you to find your own way. And that's a hard balance for a family to hit, where they show you examples, but allow you to take your own steps. And that's what I noticed about you, Jeffrey Page. I'm very impressed with your parents, especially your mom.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My parents were definitely the kind of parent, like my mother, she wasn't the kind of mother that would like drive me to Asante Children's Theater rehearsal. It's actually kind of funny, because people like meet her now and they're like, Jeffrey, you have a mother? I didn't even know that. Oh, I thought you like just kind of appeared, right? But my mother would be like, if this is something you want to do, you better figure it out. You better figure it out. Like, you better get on like, I'm at work, and you need to figure it out. You need to get on the bus. You need to ask somebody. And it kind of takes me to this thing of like, of Columbia, my experience at Columbia University. We weren't given a lot at Columbia University. Like, there's a thing in the industry with like people who graduated from Yale, like they're very snobby. Like, they're very snobby people, because you go to Yale and you're given everything. You're given all of your actors. You don't have, like, all you have to do is just like sit and like do your creative thing. At Columbia, I had to present 2 productions every single week. 2. One production was for my contemporary class, and the second production was for my my classical class. Every single week, I had to present one production for each of those classes. So with those productions, we were not given a roster of actors, costumes, lighting, like it, and it had to be a fully thought out production, off book, like fully like exhibited. And so we were just kind of thrust into the world and say go. And I relate that a lot to what Mrs. Sante said in terms of my parents. My parents were very much like if you want to do it, figure it out. And I think that if I would have been coddled more, I don't think that I would have found the success that I would have had in Philadelphia. Like I really ventured out in Philadelphia. I really took risks. You know what I'm saying? So when many of my cohorts were like stuck in Center City, I was like in North Philly, like chilling. I was in North Philly underneath, you know, Walter Dallas, God bless his soul, you know, God rest his soul. You know, I was underneath him learning and like, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what this thing was about. I was in West Philly. I was in South Philly. I was in Northeast Philly. I was learning stuff. So that prepared me to go to LA and to be even more bigger and bolder and much more audacious in terms of what that meant. So when I'm talking to you all, you know, I'm saying don't be church mice, you know, specifically for that reason. We don't have time, especially right now in where we sit right now in the world. We don't have time for shyness. And we don't have time for any of you to allow the magic that's inside of your heart and that's inside of your soul to be quelled for the purpose, for the benefit of you being shy. We just don't have time for it. It's no time, because I have something that I have to give you. It's important for me to lay on your heart, but you have to first figure out the question to ask me. I have encountered a lot of mentors in my life who have said, I will answer whatever questions that you have, but first you have to have the question. I'm not just gonna spoon feed you. So then I had to do the work of figuring out what the question was. One of my teachers, again, God rest his soul, Chuck Davis, he would answer whatever questions that I had for him. Any questions that I had for him, he would answer whatever questions that I had for him. But he would not just kind of feed me information. I had to come with a very specific question. And so that made me work to figure out what the question is that I needed to ask him. And then that made him respond directly to that question. So that's why I say to you all, we don't have time for church mice right now.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have one question, and then after your answer of that, then I can ask you the next one. But for the first one, so a lot of times, me and my mom differ because, like, I have a spirit of like, I want to just like, as soon as high school is over, I want to get out of Indy, like, to explore the world. So, did you ever have that mindset like strong, or was that something that you didn't have a mindset of? Like, how was your mind towards that?
So my first time leaving the country, I was 15 years old. I went to Africa when I was 15. And because I was doing African dance when I was about 10 years old, you know, it's not a lot of African dance in Indianapolis. So I was constantly in Chicago studying. I was constantly in Cincinnati studying. I was constantly in Washington, D.C. studying. So the thing that people yearn for in terms of like, oh my God, I have to get out of the city. I didn't really have that thing because I was already doing it. But I was very clear. That that I needed to explore, what the world had to offer. Now, I will also say this, because I spend a lot of time in Africa even now, and I have a lot of dear ones who I adore in Africa, and they're constantly like, Jeffrey, I want to come to America. I want to come to America. And so it's basically the question that you're asking me. I want to come to America because there's opportunity in America, and we get to do this in America and that in America. And my thing when I speak to somebody from the Gambia or somebody from Senegal or somebody from Guinea or Mali is how can you find magic inside of where you are? How can you build magic inside of where you are? Why do you have to leave Africa in your country in order to secure an idea of success or magic? So in the spirit of your question, I would kind of bounce that back to you and simply say, yes, you should try to fulfill your wants of exploring, but you shouldn't let that hinder you. Does that make sense? You shouldn't let that hinder you or stop you. You should be very thoughtful about how you intend to explore the world. I hope that I'm answering your question.
You said like you felt like you were stupid.
Yeah. I felt like I was cool with what I had, but I felt like I wasn't able to compete in a situation of like, I felt like I wasn't book smart, and I felt like I could never compete in the way that people compete. But I felt, I was. So I think that it grew another kind of confidence in me, and it grew a mask where I was really scared to let people see something that was sensitive and tender and vulnerable inside of me. And so I appeared to be like some big-headed, stubborn, person. And so I think what I would offer to this group is, don't be afraid to be free. Don't be afraid of your own magic. Like it's special. And nobody in the world has your own magic. And we're so used to assuming, a standard mode of operation or standard technology that we go home and we say, well, I don't fit that technology. Well, you don't have to fit that technology. I'm here to say to you, you do not have to fit that technology. When you go to your geometry class, and if you need to like kind of cock your head upside down to look at them numbers and figure out, well, that's what you need to do. Because that's what you need. That's what's gonna make you exactly who you are. If you feel like you need to stand on your hands to understand what the grammatical implications of the sentence are, well, you stand on your hands. And when the teacher says, Max, why you stand on your hands? You say, well, look now, I got to stand on my hands to figure out what this is now. And you have to lean into your own weirdness, because it's that weirdness that's your true sorcery. It's your own weirdness that's your own magic.
As a dancer, you kind of talked about it briefly, but what were some of the things that kind of helped boosted your career as a dancer, like working with Beyonce and traveling all over the world? What were some things that helped with that?
I'll tell you one thing. My father, he used to take me twice a month. He would drive me to Chicago, like on Saturday mornings. and like what that meant for like this little indie. First of all, so the classes that I wanted, they weren't around the corner. It was literally 3.5 hours away. Okay. And I had, and my father would have to wake, we would have to wake up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning to make that road trip to Chicago to do the blah 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 blah, and then come on back and yada yada yada. So I think it gave me a level of endurance. When I was in my freshman year of college, I was in a professional production at Freedom Theater. That's something unheard of. So not only did I have my full day of dance classes, but I also then had to run to rehearsal afterwards. And it was very stressful. In addition to that, I danced with Forces of Nature in New York City. So I would then have to hop on a bus and run to New York to go to rehearsal. My second year, I got a show with Debbie Allen, and so I had to, do my classes, and then I would have to sprint to the train station to hop on the train, to get on the train, to make it to Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. for rehearsal at 6 o'clock. And rehearsal went from 6 o'clock into 11 o'clock, all right? And then 11 o'clock hit, I would have to run. I think the last train from D.C. to Philadelphia, I think it was like 11:46. So I would have to sprint to the train, like out of rehearsal. Of course, this is a professional production, so I couldn't ask to leave early. That's like unheard of. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as Debbie says, thanks so much, I'll see y'all tomorrow, I would have to go grab my stuff, change, run to the train station, get to Philadelphia, and do it all over again. The reason that I'm telling you that is there's a certain level of endurance that I think kind of sparked inside of my brain, where it's like, well, if you're gonna do this, you got to do it, and it's gonna be difficult. And it made me not afraid of being uncomfortable. It made me not afraid of stretching myself out into a new kind of shape that I never imagined that shape being. So if you're asking me what sort of things prepared me to have a successful career as a dancer, it was the mode of being uncomfortable, the mode of pushing myself until I did something to the point where I was like, okay, I did it. Great. My third year, I got the same show, Debbie Allen asked me to participate again in Atlanta. And I had to figure that out. That was like a 6-month contract in Atlanta. So I had to send a letter to my director, asking her for special permission. And she said no. And I did not accept no. I actually went into her office and I said, well, what if I, write a journal, and if I do this, and, she finally was like, okay, Jeffrey, yes, fine. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I did the show in Atlanta during my third year of college. So then when the show was finished, check this out, y'all. The show was finished. I sent a letter to the director of the school saying, all right, my show's done. I'm headed back to school, right? My director said, Jeffrey, you're going to have to withdraw. Like, you can't come back to school. And I said, I imagine my parents whooping my butt. And I said, no. I said, no. I have an email from you. As proof that you said that you have given me permission to do this. And you said nothing about withdrawing. So no. And so eventually, again, she was like, okay, come on back, right? So I think part of how I'm going to answer your question, Amani, is not accepting no. I'm reading a lot of Octavia Butler right now. I don't know if you all have heard of Octavia Butler, but she has a book called The Parable of the Sower and The Parable of the Talents. And I'm just now kind of really getting into her, and it's kind of scary, but it's amazing. But she says this thing, she says, God is change. And then she says, shape God, right? So what does that mean?
Shape God. This is the second tenet of Earthseed. God is change, but God is also malleable. God is power, infinite, irresistible, exorable, indifferent, and yet God is pliable. Trickster, teacher, chaos, clay, God exists to be shaped. Change is neither good nor bad. Change is potential for benefit or harm. Any change may bear seed of benefit. Seek them out. Any change may bear seed of harm. Beware. God is infinitely malleable. God is change. God is change, and hidden within change is surprise, delight, confusion, pain, discovery, loss, opportunity, and growth. As always, God existed, shaped, and to be shaped. And there's more, but yeah.
Keep reading it. Keep reading it.
We have choice. We can choose how to react to change. A victim of God may, through learning and adaptation, become a partner of God. A victim of God may, through forethought and planning, become a shaper of God. Or a victim of God may, through short-sightedness and fear, remain God's victim, God's plaything, God's prey. Change is unavoidable, but we can sometimes change the direction or speed of change. Chaos is God's most dangerous space. Amorphous, rolling hunger, shape chaos, shape God acts. Alter the speed or direction of change, vary the scope of change, recombine the seeds of change, transmute the impact of change, seize change, use it and adapt and grow. God is change, and in the end, God prevails. But there's hope in understanding the nature of God, not punishing or jealous, but infinitely malleable. There's comfort in realizing that everyone in everything yields to God. There's power in knowing that God can be focused or diverted, shaped by anyone at all. But there's no power in having strength and brains yet waiting for God to fix things for you or take revenge for you. God will shape us all every day of our lives, best to understand that in return, an effort shape God.
Okay, so I want to make clear to everybody that I'm not attempting to proselytize to you all. So let's be clear about that. Octavia Butler is an activist, okay, and it's a novel that she's written. So she's created, like, it's a novel, it's a fiction, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not attempting, this is not religious talk. So please don't think that I'm attempting to like bring in any kind of religious conversation here. But I think in terms of the in the context of this novel, and in the context with who Octavia Butler is, there are lessons to be learned inside of that text. Basically, what that text is saying is change is infinite. Change will always occur. So we can't hide from change. We can't like crawl up under our bed and say, no change. We have to stand up and face change, flat-footed and with our shoulders pressed down. And we have to say, this is how I need for you to adjust. So we need to shape change. And that's difficult. It's difficult, it's hard, you know, and to allow yourself to then be changed by the change that you are shaping. It's a pretty interesting idea. what I would love for all of you to do is like copy some of this. These are poems that everybody can find. You know, just look up Octavia Butler. Like she has written tons of books. Like it's typically sci-fi. She's not a religious person at all. It's like she's a sci-fi writer, right? And you should kind of read some of the pieces that she writes because I think it will help you to understand the world in a different kind of way. So you should kind of lean into what that means.
Well, I was going to ask, since we were talking about change, I was going to ask, was there any type of change that changed you in in an arts way, like that changed you positively or negatively?
Oh, I see you ain't gonna answer my question. You just gonna bounce it. You just gonna bounce it on back to me. Okay, all right. Okay, I got you, Dorian.
Yeah, he's evasive like that.
Okay, I see you, Dorian. I see you, Dorian. Let me use your tactics and let me bounce your question back to you, and let me ask you from what you know about me thus far. How might you answer that question? What might you assume about me?
Something that changed you? Probably being around people who are like well known probably changed you in the sense of like maybe I can make it. Like
Wait, you said, I'm sorry, you said being around what? Say it one more time.
People who are like very influencing and very like well known, and maybe you being around those people, you were like, maybe I can make it. Like you see, like other people did it, and you were like, maybe I can actually make it.
When you say make it, what do you mean by that term, make it?
Like be on the level like they are, like I don't want to say like popular, but like somehow very influencing to others, like nationwide or worldwide.
Okay. Who can respond to that? Who knows what I'm thinking right now and how I probably might want to respond to Dorian?
I think you would probably say that you have a different meaning of success than being a household name or being well known. So, like you were explaining earlier.
Yep, I think that's it. So Dorian, you answered your own question. So yeah. What else about this idea of shaping change kind of appeals to you?
What had appealed to me was when the part that it was talking about God is not going to do revenge for you. He's not going to try to make you happy. You have to do that for yourself. That was kind of appealing to me because myself, I feel like God is going to send something to make me happy or like send somebody to make me be happy. But by her words, I felt like she's saying you got to do that for yourself. Nobody else can do that but you.
Yeah, I love that, Tyler. And then so part of this conversation is about the intersectionality of arts. So the interdisciplinary idea of arts. Because, you know, one would think that, oh, I'm a choreographer, I'm a dancer, like, so we're gonna like spend the time talking about dance. Why are we dissecting Octavia Butler? What does this have to do with anything? Can someone answer that question for me, Max?
So like I think it like helps like all around, like just like talking about like inspiring people like helps you build like your confidence at other places, like not just like one place like dance or something like that. So, yeah.
Okay, anybody else have thoughts? Kamaya?
I think that we're dissecting this mainly because, as in the profession that a lot of us are looking into going into, change is inevitable. I mean, in life, change is inevitable, but it's specifically in being a performer, change is like an everyday thing with it, whether you're working on a regular performance or just actively thinking to be like a regular performer on the daily. So we have to manifest that change. So for instance, if we don't get a role or, you know, we get rejected for something or anything like that or of that concern, then we can manifest that situation and have grit and work towards a different role and take what you learn from that audition and go towards something else.
I love
Or
that.
not even take their no, like you said.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Can you all give me hardcore examples of ways where one particular idea can be transferable to another idea? Like, for instance, how we're speaking about, you know, we've kind of covered a lot in this past short amount of time. You know, we've covered, you know, a little bit of art history. We've covered some politics. We've covered activism. We've covered, you know, career trajectories. You know, how might like something like the idea of shaping change, how might that be applicable inside of your own personal experiences? And actually, we have 6 minutes left. I would love for 1, 2, 3, 4, all 5 of you to tell me a very concrete example that you could either dream it up, or you can give me something that actually happened in your life that is specific. I'm going to say it again. An example of how shaping change is applicable in other areas of your life. So Kamaya, you gave me a really great example. So now I'm going to ask you to give me another example, okay? Who can start off? Amani, start off. And then everybody has to give me something, okay?
What exactly do you mean by shaping change? Can you kind of...
So the word so basically molding change, like to mitigate, to to transform change in a way that is beneficial to your better good.
To respond to change with power.
Okay. So an example of that I could think of is...
Again, it could either be fictional or non-fictional, whatever you like.
Change. Saying that maybe somebody...
Okay, Amani, you think about it a little bit.
Okay.
Tyler, go.
So to respond with change with power, for example, you can use Black Lives Matter movement.
Okay, tell me some more.
Us marching, well, not me in particular, but Black people marching in general, that's responding with change and power, like transforming change with power. Because even though that happened before like the civil rights movement, it's like a new way to like transform it. If that makes sense.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Thank you, Tyler. How about I give you an example? So I'm gonna make this up from the top of my head. I'm running down the street. I'm running down the street, and it's a crack in the sidewalk. You know, the sidewalk is not like this. It's a crack in the sidewalk, and my foot hits the sidewalk, and I trip. And it's people looking at me. It's all kinds of people looking at me, and I don't want to look like I just tripped. Okay, so instead of looking like I just tripped, I like do like a cool like kind of flip. I flip, and then I do like a this, and then I do a little slide like that, and then I snap, and I keep moving. That's my example.
I have one.
Go for it.
So about 2 years ago, my nana, which is my great grandmother, she got diagnosed with COPD and Alzheimer's. So it was really hard for my family. So like someone had to be with her 24/7, like all day long. So my mom and my grandma, that was time that they couldn't really take me to practice and different things like that. So in that situation, I could have just got really sad and be like, okay, I'm just gonna quit ACT. But I just used it as inspiration to keep going and took out my emotion in my performing and memorizing lines and different stuff like that.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Come on, who's got? Come on, we got like less than a minute left. Max, come on, give me something. Fiction and non-fiction. I don't care. Go for it.
I was about to say, I think it was 2 years ago. Like I suffered from depression and anxiety, and like I was gonna like Kamaya said, I was gonna like stop doing ACT, but then like I just got more inspired to like work on my dancing and like acting abilities. So yeah, that like really helped me.
I love it. That's perfect. I'm loving it. This is making me excited, y'all. Ah! Amani, go. Amani, have you got something?
Yes. I'm going to use quarantine as an example. During this quarantine, I haven't been able to go to my dance class, and it'll be like live in ACT. So we've been doing this act. So instead of just like, okay, you know, I can't go anywhere, so let me just pause on acting and art. Sorry, the feedback, I can hear myself.
Oh, sorry.
But so instead of just being like, oh, you know, let me just take a break until quarantine is over, we've been working on Zoom, working on monologues and singing. I've been on YouTube doing dances. So yeah.
There you go, Imani. There you go, baby. Come on, Tyler. Come on, Tyler. Give it to me, Tyler.
So instead of me like when I couldn't figure out a word or something, like instead of me trying to stop and just give up and keep moving, I decided to look it up or use a dictionary and research the word and looked it up in order to find out the meaning.
And then you learn something even more. That's a great example. I love that. Dorian, go, Dorian.
I was thinking of like, I heard like a saying, and it said, when an artist is painting, like a painting artist, and they're doing a type of masterpiece or something, and then they mess up, like a big mistake, they make a big mistake, and then turn it into something even better.
Perfect. I love it. And then and then last but not least, Miss Asante, come on now.
Oh, I'm already unmuted. Okay. Miles Davis, when Herbie Hancock was playing with him and he messed up and he was so scared. He was like, oh, I'm playing with Miles Davis and I messed up. And he went to apologize and Miles said, no, man, that gave us the opportunity to create something new. It wasn't a mistake. It was a different path. And I take inspiration from that.
And y'all, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciated chatting with y'all. Is there anything that I'm missing, Mrs. Sanse?
No, we're out of time, and I'm a stickler about promising when I will end and begin your time. You know how crazy I am about being on time. So, guys, I'm very proud of you. I thought this was a fabulous conversation, Jeff, from somebody who knows you well and has watched you grow up from one of these kids that I'm looking at now to where you are now. This was very enlightening. And some of the stuff they don't even know they got yet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some things on here that happened on here, they don't even understand the impact of it yet. So I'm very grateful. Tim, thank you to the Cabaret.
Yes, thank you.
For making this happen. And Jeff, when I came up with this idea, I was so happy with myself because I felt like I was giving a gift to the Cabaret for you to know them and for them to know you, as enlarging the network and what all, you know, like sparks coming together. I have these moments, and this is one of them. I'm so grateful.
The greatness that is Deborah Asante. No, thank you so much, Jeff and Tim, for making this happen. It has truly, truly been a pleasure and definitely impactful to our youth. So thank you. And Jeff, you owe me dinner. Red Lobster, circa like 25 years. Yeah.
I got you, bro. I got you. And everybody, make sure you go to Jill Scott's page and watch that video and send me an Instagram message and tell me how much Jill Scott reminds you of Mrs. Asante, please. My Instagram is Jeffrey, JEFFREYLPAGE. Okay, send me an Instagram message and say like, she don't remind me of, or yeah, she remind me of it. Like, just go and watch that video, okay? All right, y'all.